Although Leonard and Penny were ostensibly the Big Bang Theory's lead couple, one particularly silly fight proved that the pair may have been even pettier than Amy and Sheldon. By the Big Bang Theory's finale, it was clear that the show's priorities had shifted. When the series began, it was a hangout show that focused on Howard, Raj, Leonard, and Sheldon. However, when the nerdy scientists gained a new neighbor in the form of Kaylee Kuko's glamorous, free-spirited Penny, the Big Bang Theory's focus shifted to Leonard's attempt to woo her. Leonard struggled with an obvious crush on Penny, and his initially unsuccessful romantic advances towards her were the driving force of seasons 1 and 2. Soon, Penny and Leonard got together and, although they did weather numerous breakups and big fights, the pair had a relatively straightforward sitcom love story complete with marriage and children. As this played out, Jim Parsons' Sheldon overtook them as the show's protagonist. Soon, it was no surprise when young Sheldon was the Big Bang Theory's first spin-off. The Big Bang Theory Season 6 Episode 6 saw Penny and Leonard fight over academia. Leonard offered unsolicited advice on Penny's history paper. Theoretically, it is easy to see why Sheldon became the Big Bang Theory's de facto protagonist. Sheldon was much more unreasonable and absurd than the long-suffering Leonard or easygoing Penny, so his life was rife with conflict. The fact that much of this conflict was caused by Sheldon himself only made him a funnier character, and this fueled his relationship with Amy. Although Amy was initially introduced as a female version of Sheldon, she soon started to display some uniquely quirky characteristics of her own. These made her almost as unhinged as her romantic partner and ensured that Sheldon and Amy were the Big Bang Theory's zany, outlandish couple, while Penny and Leonard were seemingly a more grounded foil to the duo. Leonard and Penny could be just as unreasonable and unhealthy as Amy and Sheldon in their relationship. Rewatching this episode proved to me that although Sheldon's character development from the Big Bang Theory wasn't entirely consistent, his silliness may have given his roommate and their love interest a pass. In retrospect, Leonard and Penny could be just as unreasonable and unhealthy as Amy and Sheldon in their relationship. Penny's "the extract obliteration" arc never made sense. Penny rejected Leonard's help but demanded Amy and Bernadette's assistance. The extract obliteration begins as a fairly straightforward episode of The Big Bang Theory, with Leonard sneaking a peek at Penny's history paper and immediately regretting this invasion of her privacy. Leonard tries to fix the essay but instead ends up offending Penny, who understandably feels betrayed and patronized by his attempts to alter her academic work. Although Leonard's plan might have been well-meaning, Penny's anger at Leonard makes perfect sense in the extract obliteration. What makes much less sense is the later revelation that Penny demanded Amy and Bernadette rewrite her paper for her. This rendered her comments about wanting to succeed on her own merits irrelevant and made the entire arc pointless. Not only did Penny then go on to demand the same help from other people, but Leonard was uniquely positioned to offer advice since he had years of professional experience in academia. Granted, one could argue that Penny was simply saving face by not asking Leonard for help. However, this leads to the question of why she would want to be in a relationship with someone from whom she could not get academic help. Not only did Penny then go on to demand the same help from other people, but Leonard was uniquely positioned to offer advice since he had years of professional experience in academia. Penny often looked for favors and help from Leonard, so it is jarring that her pride stopped her from asking for his assistance at a time when he could step in. This might not rank high in the Big Bang Theory's tragedies, but it is still sad to see a couple who go on to raise a child together trapped in these petty power struggles. Penny often looked for favors and help from Leonard, so it is jarring that her pride stopped her from asking for his assistance at a time when he could step in. Leonard and Penny were as troubled as Sheldon and Amy. The couple were notoriously indirect. If the plot of The Extract Obliteration proves anything, it is that Penny and Leonard's romance was far from perfect. Sheldon and Amy frequently seemed like the more unreasonable couple as their stiff, stoic personalities led them to say terribly insulting things to each other while retaining a blasé indifference. However, this might ironically work in their favor. Say what you will about Sheldon and Amy, there is no denying that they bluntly said what they meant. Even in fights, the pair couldn't be accused of indirect communication, which was what often ruined Leonard and Penny's relationship. While The Big Bang Theory's Raj literally couldn't speak to women, Leonard couldn't say an honest word to Penny for the first few seasons. Terrified of rejection and desperate to impress his neighbor, Leonard constantly lied about his interests, exaggerated his capabilities, and masked his emotions while speaking to Penny. Similarly, when the pair did get together, Penny's pride and fear of commitment led to her regularly hiding things from Leonard, an approach epitomized by scolding him for correcting her paper and then getting her friends to secretly do the same. The Big Bang Theory never really resolved Leonard and Penny's biggest issue. The couple were consistently poor communicators. This type of poor communication is a constant in the world of sitcoms, since conflict is at the heart of drama and comedy alike. That said, Penny and Leonard's relationship could be outright toxic at times, and The Big Bang Theory never contended with the dark side of their dynamic. Right up until the finale, Penny was still cracking wise about how much more conventionally attractive she was than her partner, while Leonard never stopped making jokes that insulted her intelligence. While The Big Bang Theory's upcoming spin-off might change this, the original show rarely saw Penny and Leonard exhort each other's best qualities. In the final season alone, they fought over Leonard talking about having children with Penny's dad, but then suddenly had a kid in the finale without any conversation about this change of heart. This wouldn't be important if the pair were healthy communicators, but again, the format of the sitcom resulted in a constant string of misunderstandings between them. In the final season alone, they fought over Leonard talking about having children with Penny's dad, but then suddenly had a kid in the finale without any conversation about this change of heart. While Vulture's Catherine von Arendonk noted that this twist was problematic in its own right, the surprise was particularly galling as it reaffirmed the worst about the couple's communication. A sequel show for The Big Bang Theory could change this, but The Big Bang Theory's original run never saw Penny and Leonard prioritize healthy communication any more than Amy and Sheldon.